The massive display screen aboard the Dimensional Edge showed the Galactic Council chamber in perfect clarity. Captain James Walker stood with his arms crossed, watching as hundreds of alien representatives laughed at humanity's application for council membership. Their mockery echoed through the ship's command center, making his jaw clench tighter with each passing moment. Look at their ships. They still use basic fusion drives. The blue-skinned representative chuckled, waving one of his forearms dismissively. They haven't even mastered simple fold space technology. More laughter filled the chamber. The council's grand speaker, a tall being with crystalline features, raised a glowing hand for silence. The human application for Galactic Council membership has been reviewed. Their technological level is primitive. They have only reached Level 2 space travel capability. The minimum requirement for membership is Level 5. Walker glanced at his crew. Tom Richards, his first officer, shook his head in quiet amusement. Linda Morris, the ship's engineer, continued making adjustments to the dimensional drive controls, a small smile playing on her lips. Would the human representatives like to speak in their defense? The Grand Speaker asked, his tone dripping with condescension. The Earth Ambassador, Michael Reed, stood before the council. His simple black suit looked out of place among the elaborate robes and biomechanical enhancements worn by the alien representatives. We understand that our conventional space travel technology might seem basic to you. However, basic, interrupted a reptilian delegate, scales shimmering under the chamber's lights. Your fastest ships would take decades to reach even the nearest council world. How do you expect to participate in galactic politics when you can barely league your own star system? The chamber erupted in another wave of laughter. Some delegates were practically falling out of their hover seats. Captain Walker pressed a button on his command chair. Dr. Thompson, how are the drive readings? Dr. Anna Thompson's voice came through clearly from the engine room. The D7 drive is stable, Captain. All 7 dimensional matrices are aligned. We can activate it whenever you give the word. Walker nodded, returning his attention to the screen. The Earth Ambassador was handling the mockery with remarkable dignity, but Walker could see the tension in his shoulders. Perhaps, a gaseous being suggested, its form swirling with amusement, we should put them on the primitive species watch list. Check back in a few thousand years. Now, the Grand Speaker said, raising his hands. Let's not be too harsh. They did manage to build ships that can leave their atmosphere. That's something. More laughter followed. Walker felt a deep satisfaction knowing what was coming. Humanity had learned long ago that sometimes it was better to be underestimated. While these advanced races had focused on conventional space travel technology, Earth's scientists had discovered something far more fundamental: the connection between consciousness and dimensional reality. The dimensional edge itself looked unimpressive from the outside. A simple cylinder shape, no fancy external technology, no visible weapons. The alien races would scan it and see nothing special. That was exactly the point. The Earth Ambassador continued his speech, carefully avoiding any mention of the real breakthrough. We hope the Council will reconsider. Humanity has much to offer. Like what? Someone shouted. Stone tools. Walker pressed his comm button again. Dr. Thompson, start the preliminary dry sequence. Let's give them something to really laugh about. With pleasure, Captain, she replied. Deep within the ship, the D7 drive began its activation sequence. Unlike the noisy, flashy engines of other species, it made no sound. There was just a subtle shift in reality around the ship, barely noticeable even to those aboard. The mockery continued in the council chamber, but Walker wasn't listening anymore. He was watching the drive readings on his display. 7 bars, representing 7 dimensions, slowly filling up with energy. The aliens thought they were so advanced with their fold space drives and quantum tunneling. They had no idea that humanity had leapfrogged their technology entirely. Drive will be ready in 5 minutes, Captain, Dr. Thompson reported. Walker smiled. Soon, the laughter would stop. Soon, They would understand that humanity's application wasn't a joke, it was a courtesy. They could have simply shown up and demonstrated their technology, but humans had learned to be diplomatic. They had given the Council a chance to be gracious. "Stand by, crew," Walker announced. "Let's show them what primitive really looks like." Dr. Anna Thompson walked through the gleaming engine room of the Dimensional Edge, her footsteps echoing against the metal floor. The walls were lined with what looked like ordinary computer panels, but they were anything but ordinary. Each screen showed readings from a different dimension, measurements that most alien scientists would consider impossible. "You wanted to see me, Doctor." Captain Walker entered the engine room, his face still showing amusement from the council meeting. "Yes, Captain. While those aliens are busy laughing, I thought you should know exactly what we're about to unleash." She pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed 7 intersecting rings of light, each one a different color. "The simple version, please," Walker said, studying the complex display. "Not all of us have 3 PhDs in dimensional physics." Dr. Thompson smiled. "Remember when humans first started exploring space? Everyone thought it was about rockets and fuel. Better engines, faster ships." She waved her hand through the hologram, making it spin. "But we were asking the wrong questions." The ship's engineer, Linda Morris, joined them, carrying a tablet filled with drive readings. "The aliens did the same thing, didn't they? Just kept making their engines bigger and more powerful." "Exactly," Thompson said. "They never understood the real secret." She touched one of the holographic rings, and it expanded to show complex equations. Consciousness itself is the key. The human mind doesn't just observe reality. It interacts with it. We discovered that consciousness exists in all dimensions, not just the 3 we can see. Walker watched as she manipulated the hologram, showing how the 7 rings aligned. "And that's what the D7 drive does. It uses consciousness to access higher dimensions." "Think of it this way," Thompson explained, creating a simple cube in the hologram. "Imagine you're a 2-dimensional being living on a flat piece of paper. You can only move left, right, forward, and backward. To you, a 3-dimensional object passing through your world would seem like magic." A holographic cube passed through a flat plane, showing how it would appear to a 2-dimensional observer. First as a point, then growing into a square, then shrinking back to a point before disappearing. "That's what we're about to do to those aliens," Morris said, grinning. "But instead of just 3 dimensions, we're working with 7. Thompson nodded. "The human brain naturally processes reality in ways no alien computer can match. While they were building bigger engines, we learned to expand our consciousness. The D7 drive doesn't force its way through space. It allows us to perceive and move through higher dimensions naturally." "And that's why they can't detect it?" Walker asked, gesturing at the ordinary-looking walls around them. "Because the technology isn't physical. The physical components are just interfaces," Thompson confirmed. "The real technology is in how we've learned to use our minds. Each crew member's consciousness contributes to the drive's function. We're not just flying the ship, we're expanding our perception of reality itself." The hologram changed to show the dimensional edge surrounded by layers of translucent energy. "When we activate the drive fully, we'll exist in all 7 dimensions at once. Distance becomes meaningless. Time becomes flexible. And those fancy alien weapons, they'll be about as effective as throwing rocks at a shadow." Walker watched the display for a moment, then turned to his crew. "How long have you studied this, Doctor?" 20 years, Thompson replied. "Ever since we discovered the first hints in quantum consciousness experiments. The aliens think we're centuries behind them, but they're the ones living in the past. They're still trying to break through walls while we've learned to simply step around them." The ship's communication system crackled to life. "Captain to the bridge. The Council is calling for a vote on our application." Walker smiled. "Perfect timing. Dr. Thompson, is the drive ready for a full demonstration?" Thompson checked her readings one last time. All 7 dimensional matrices glowed steady and strong. Ready, Captain. Just remember, what they're about to see will change their understanding of reality forever. Good, Walker said, heading for the door. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do. The emergency alarms on the dimensional edge blared to life, just as Captain Walker was about to order the D7 drive demonstration. Red lights flashed across the bridge as urgent messages flooded the communication screens. Multiple distress calls coming in, Captain. Tom Richards shouted from his station. The Meridian Empire has launched attacks on 3 human colonies. New Mars, Europa Base, and the Titan settlement are all under heavy fire. Walker's face hardened as he watched the tactical display. Hundreds of Meridian warships had appeared from Fold space, their crescent-shaped hulls gleaming with weapons fire. The few human defense ships at the colonies were badly outmatched. Put the colony feeds on the main screen, Walker ordered. The bridge crew watched in horror as massive Meridian ships descended on the human settlements. Their energy weapons carved glowing lines through space, while human ships tried desperately to protect the civilian areas. The Meridians are broadcasting a message, Richards reported. Playing it now. A harsh voice filled the bridge. Attention, primitive human species. Your territories are now under the protection of the Meridian Empire. Surrender your colonies and accept your place as a client race, or face extinction. Dr. Thompson rushed onto the bridge, her face flushed from running. Captain, we're receiving reports from the colonies. The Meridians are using level 6 quantum cannons. Our conventional shields don't stand a chance. Walker turned to the Galactic Council feed, which was still active on a secondary screen. This is Captain Walker of Earth requesting immediate Council intervention. The Meridian Empire is attacking civilian colonies. The Grand Speaker's crystalline face showed no emotion. The Council does not intervene in natural selection processes. If humanity cannot defend its territory, perhaps you should accept the Meridian's generous offer of protection. Laughter rippled through the council chamber again, but this time it had a cruel edge. The reptilian delegate spoke up. Did you expect us to protect you? You can barely reach your own moon without breaking down. Walker's hands gripped his command chair. Tom, what's the casualty count? Rising fast, sir. Colony defenses are at 40% and falling. Civilian evacuation has begun, but Richards swallowed hard. We're looking at thousands of lives if those settlements fall. Linda Morris spoke up from her engineering station. Captain, the D7 drive is still spooled up from our planned demonstration. We could reach the colonies in seconds if we use all 7 dimensions. Walker looked at the tactical display again. The Meridian ships were moving with military precision, their formations designed to trap and destroy any human vessels that try to escape. They clearly expected an easy victory over what they thought was a helpless primitive species. Dr. Thompson, Walker called out, if we engage the drive now, can we reach all 3 colonies? Thompson's fingers flew over her control panel. Yes, but it will be tricky. We'll need to exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously to affect all 3 locations. The crew will experience some unusual sensations. Better unusual than dead, Walker said grimly. He opened the ship-wide comm. All hands, this is the captain. Prepare for dimensional shift. What you're about to experience may seem impossible. Don't fight it. Remember your training. Let your mind expand with the ship. The Meridian commander's voice came through again. You have 10 minutes to surrender your colonies. After that, we will demonstrate what real space warfare looks like. Walker stood up from his chair, his voice cold with controlled anger. Dr. Thompson, power up the D7 drive. Full capacity. He turned to the council feed one last time. Watch carefully, counselors. You wanted to see what humanity is capable of. You're about to find out. The drive hummed to life, not with the roar of conventional engines, but with a sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Reality itself began to bend around the dimensional edge as Thompson activated the dimensional matrices one by one. All 7 dimensions online, Thompson reported. Reality grid stable. We can move at your command. Walker took a deep breath. Humanity will not surrender. Not now. Not ever. Set course for all 3 colonies simultaneously. Show these empires why they should have taken our application seriously. The dimensional edge began to glow with an impossible light as it prepared to rewrite everything the galaxy thought it knew about human capability. Reality twisted around the dimensional edge as all 7 dimensions activated at once. The crew felt a strange sensation, as if their minds were expanding beyond their bodies. Captain Walker watched in amazement as the bridge seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously. "Status report," he called out, his voice echoing strangely through dimensional space. "This is incredible," Tom Richards said, staring at his displays. "We're in all 3 colony locations at once. I can see everything, Captain. Not just see, I can feel it." Through the ship's view screens, they watched the Meridian fleet from impossible angles. Their massive warships, once so threatening, now looked like simple shapes frozen in space. The crew could perceive every dimension of reality around them, seeing past, present, and multiple possibilities all at once. "Weapons locked on us at New Mars Colony," Linda Morris reported, then smiled. "But they're firing at where we were, where we will be, and where we might be. They can't hit what exists in 7 dimensions." Dr. Thompson's voice came through the comm, filled with excitement. "The D7 drive is performing perfectly. We're not just moving through space, we're moving through dimensional layers. To the Meridians, we must look like we're everywhere and nowhere." Walker watched as a Meridian battleship fired its quantum cannons. The deadly energy beams passed harmlessly through space, where the dimensional edge had been a fraction of a second ago. But to the crew, it looked like the beams were moving in slow motion, their paths visible across multiple dimensions. "Send the feed to the Galactic Council," Walker ordered. "Let them see what primitive humans can do." On the council screens, the alien representatives had stopped laughing. They watched in stunned silence as a single human ship danced through 7 dimensions, making the most advanced fleet in the galaxy look like clumsy children. "Impossible," the reptilian delegate whispered. "They're moving through dimensional spaces we didn't even know existed." The Meridian commander's voice crackled through space, showing the first signs of fear. "What are you? How are you doing this?" Walker stood at the center of his bridge, feeling the power of 7 dimensions flowing through the ship and its crew. "We are humanity. We didn't focus on building bigger engines or stronger weapons. We learned to understand reality itself." The dimensional edge moved with impossible grace. In one dimension, it appeared above the Meridian fleet. In another, it was behind them. In yet another, it seemed to phase right through their ships. The crew could see the bewilderment on the faces of the Meridian warriors as their sophisticated targeting systems failed completely. "Their weapons can't lock onto us," Thompson reported. "We exist in too many dimensional states at once. Even their most advanced sensors can only track 3 dimensions." Walker nodded. "Prepare to demonstrate our offensive capabilities. Target their weapon systems only." The dimensional edge pulsed with energy. Moving through higher dimensions, it simply reached around the Meridian shields. Small precision strikes appeared simultaneously across their fleet, disabled weapon systems popping with dimensional energy. "By the eternal stars," the Grand Speaker's voice came through, "all traces of mockery gone. They've mastered dimensional manipulation at a level we thought impossible." In minutes, the entire Meridian fleet hung helpless in space. Not a single ship had been destroyed, but none of them could fire a weapon or raise a shield. The dimensional edge had simply reached through higher dimensions and turned them off. "This is Captain Walker to all Meridian ships," Walker announced, his voice carrying across conventional space. "Your weapons are disabled. Your shields are down. We could have destroyed your entire fleet, but that's not how humanity works. Consider this a demonstration of mercy as well as power." Dr. Thompson appeared on the bridge, her eyes shining with triumph. "Captain, the dimensional readings are beyond anything we tested on Earth. The ship isn't just moving through dimensions. It's showing us things about reality we never imagined. "Sir," Richards called out, his voice filled with awe. The council chambers, every alien representative is standing. They're not laughing anymore. Walker looked at his crew, each of them now seeing reality in ways no other species had achieved. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the D7 drive works better than we ever dreamed. And tell them the galaxy isn't laughing anymore." As the disabled Meridian fleet drifted in space, something unexpected began to happen aboard the dimensional edge. Dr. Thompson noticed it first, a subtle change in the seventh dimensional readings that made her gasp in surprise. "Captain," she called out, her voice filled with wonder. "You need to see this. The seventh dimension. It's not just about moving through space. It's showing us something else." Walker moved to her station, where the dimensional displays were showing patterns he had never seen before. "What are we looking at, Doctor?" "Consciousness itself," Thompson whispered. "The seventh dimension isn't just another layer of space-time. It's where all conscious minds connect. Look, you can actually see it. Through the ship's sensors, enhanced by their seven-dimensional state, they could perceive glowing webs of energy connecting all living beings. The Meridian warriors, the council members, the human colonists, all were linked by shimmering threads of seventh-dimensional energy. It's beautiful," Linda Morris said from her station, watching the patterns flow. "I can feel what they're feeling. The Meridians, they're not just afraid of us. They're afraid of being left behind, of becoming obsolete." Tom Richards nodded slowly. "The council species, too. Their mockery wasn't just about us. They'd been so focused on their technological progress, they've lost something important, something we stumbled upon by accident." Walker watched the interconnected web of consciousness spanning across space. Through the seventh dimension, he could sense the thoughts and emotions of everyone around them. The fear, the wonder, and underneath it all, a deep longing for connection that every species shared. "Dr. Thompson," he said quietly, "can we communicate through these connections?" "Theoretically, yes," she replied, adjusting the dimensional matrices. "The D7 drive doesn't just move us through dimensions, it lets us interact with them. We could send thoughts, emotions, even complete understandings across this network." The Galactic Council chambers appeared on their screen. The alien representatives were still watching in stunned silence as streams of data poured in from the battle scene. But through the seventh dimension, the crew could see their auras pulsing with a mix of fear and fascination. "The Meridians are hailing us again," Richards reported. "Put them through," Walker ordered. "Both normal communications and the other way." The Meridian commander's face appeared on screen, but now they could also sense his emotional state through the seventh dimension. His previous arrogance had been replaced by a complex mix of humility and curiosity. "Your technology," the commander said slowly, "it's not like anything we've ever seen. You can destroy us at any moment, and yet you don't. Why?" Walker smiled, sending calming thoughts through the dimensional link. "Because destruction isn't the point. Understanding is." Dr. Thompson worked at her console, expanding their seventh dimensional field. "Captain, I can extend our dimensional space to include their ships. We can show them what we see." "Do it," Walker nodded. "Let them understand." The dimensional field expanded, enveloping the Meridian ships. Through the view screen, they watched as the alien warriors' expressions changed from fear to wonder as they experienced seventh-dimensional consciousness for the first time. By the ancient stars, the Meridian commander breathed. "We are all connected. All this time, we thought advancement meant better weapons, faster ships. But you found something else entirely." The council chambers erupted in excited chatter as they watched the scene unfold. The Grand Speaker himself stood, his crystalline form gleaming. "Humans," he announced, "we gravely underestimated you. You haven't just mastered space travel. You've discovered the fundamental nature of consciousness itself." Walker looked at his crew, Seeing how they had all changed in these few minutes of seventh-dimensional awareness, they had started this mission expecting to demonstrate a new form of space travel. Instead, they had stumbled upon the very thing that united all living beings across the galaxy. "Send a message to Earth Command," he ordered. "Tell them we found something far more important than a new way to travel through space. We found a way to bring the galaxy together." The bridge of the dimensional edge hummed with energy as Captain Walker faced the most important decision of his career. Before him, the tactical display showed the disabled Meridian fleet. On another screen, the Galactic Council watched in anticipation. Through the seventh dimension, he could feel the anxiety and fear radiating from both groups. "Earth Command is calling, sir," Tom Richards reported. "They want us to take control of the Meridian ships. Show the galaxy that humanity won't be pushed around anymore." Walker looked at his crew. Each of them could sense the weight of this moment through their seventh-dimensional awareness. They weren't just deciding the fate of a battle. They were choosing humanity's path in the galaxy. "Dr. Thompson," Walker called out, "is it possible to share our seventh-dimensional experience with all of them at once? Not just awareness, but full understanding." Thompson's fingers moved across her console. "Yes, but it would require dropping our defensive stance. We'd be completely open to them, just as they would be to us." "It's risky, Captain." Linda Morris spoke up from her station. "The Meridians still have backup weapon systems. If we drop our dimensional defenses, they could hit us with everything they have left." Through the seventh dimension, Walker could feel the swirling emotions of the Meridian crews. Fear, anger, and underneath it all, a desperate desire to understand what was happening to them. The council members radiated similar feelings, their previous mockery replaced by a deep uncertainty about their place in the universe. "Maybe that's exactly what we need to do," Walker said quietly. "We've shown them our power. Now let's show them our wisdom." He opened a channel to all ships and the council chamber. "This is Captain Walker of the Dimensional Edge. We've demonstrated that humanity's dimensional technology can overcome any weapon you possess. But that's not why we developed it." Dr. Thompson looked up from her readings. "Seven-dimensional field is ready, Captain. On your order, we can share everything. Our understanding, our experiences, our perspective on reality itself." Walker nodded. "Do it." The dimensional edge's defensive systems powered down. In their place, waves of seventh-dimensional energy pulsed outward, enveloping both the Meridian fleet and the council chambers. Through their shared consciousness, every being connected to the field suddenly understood what humanity had discovered. They saw Earth's first experiments with dimensional theory. They felt the moment when scientists realized that consciousness itself was the key to higher dimensions. They experienced the wonder of seeing reality from 7 dimensions at once. "This is incredible," the Meridian commander gasped, his voice filled with awe. "Your people never sought to conquer. You wanted to understand." In the council chambers, the Grand Speaker stepped forward. "We see now. Your technology isn't about moving through space or winning battles. It's about breaking down the barriers between all conscious beings." Through the dimensional link, waves of emotion flowed between all species. Ancient prejudices and fears began to dissolve as each race shared their hopes, their struggles, and their dreams of a better galaxy. "The weapons," a Meridian officer called out. "We're powering them down ourselves. All of them. We don't need them anymore. Not after experiencing this." Dr. Thompson smiled at her readings. "Captain, the 7th dimensional field is stabilizing. It's not just connecting us anymore. It's creating permanent bridges of understanding between all species involved." Walker stood at the center of his bridge, feeling the transformation spreading through the gathered ships and beyond. Humanity had been given a choice between using their power for dominance or enlightenment. In choosing to share rather than conquer, they had changed the galaxy forever. "Send a message to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them Operation First Contact was a success, but not in the way we expected. We didn't just prove humanity's worth to the galaxy. We showed them a new way to exist together." Through the seventh dimension, waves of agreement and joy radiated from every ship and station. The age of isolation and competition was ending. Something new was beginning, something that would reshape the very fabric of galactic society. 3 months after the Dimensional Edge's historic demonstration, the Great Hall of the reformed Galactic Council looked very different. Gone were the tiered seats that had once separated species by their technological advancement. Instead, a circular chamber allowed all representatives to sit as equals. Captain Walker stood at the center of the hall, Dr. Thompson by his side, as they prepared to begin the first-ever galactic class on dimensional consciousness. Representatives from over 200 species filled the chamber, including several Meridian officers who had once been their enemies. "Look how far we've come," Thompson said quietly, watching the gathered aliens chatting and sharing experiences through their newly developed dimensional awareness. 3 months ago, they were laughing at us. Walker smiled. 3 months ago, we thought we were just building a better spaceship. Instead, we found the key to uniting the galaxy. The Grand Speaker's crystalline form glowed as he called the session to order. We gather today not as superior and inferior species, but as students of humanity's remarkable discovery. Captain Walker, Dr. Thompson, the floor is yours. Walker stepped forward, feeling the warm anticipation radiating through the seventh dimension from the assembled beings. When humanity first looked to the stars, we dreamed of faster ships and better weapons. But in studying the nature of space itself, we found something far more valuable: the fundamental connection between all conscious minds. Dr. Thompson activated a holographic display showing the 7-dimensional matrix. Thanks to the sharing of knowledge between our species, we've already made incredible advances. The Meridian's understanding of quantum mechanics, combined with our dimensional theory, has led to breakthroughs none of us could have achieved alone. And this is just the beginning, Walker added. Every species brings their own unique perspective to dimensional consciousness. The crystalline's experience with light-based thinking has opened new aspects of the 6th dimension. The gaseous being's fluid consciousness has revealed patterns in the 5th dimension we never imagined. Through the 7th dimension, waves of pride and excitement flowed from the gathered representatives. Many of them had already begun establishing dimensional training centers on their home worlds, teaching their people to expand their consciousness beyond the limits of physical space. The Meridian commander, now an instructor himself, stood up. 3 months ago, we thought we were the strongest military force in the galaxy. Now we understand that true strength comes from connection, not conquest. Our fleet has been reformed into a dimensional exploration force. The changes aren't just technological, Thompson continued. Species that were once bitter enemies now share a deep understanding of each other's perspectives. Conflicts that lasted centuries have been resolved in weeks through 7th-dimensional dialogue. Walker gestured to the modified D7 drive installed in the council chamber. This technology belongs to all of us now. Earth has shared the designs freely, asking only that each species contribute their own insights to its development. Together, we're discovering new dimensions of reality almost daily. The Grand Speaker rose, his crystalline form pulsing with multicolored light. Let the record show that humanity's greatest achievement was not the mastery of dimensional travel, but teaching us to see beyond our differences. The age of technological competition is over. The age of shared consciousness has begun. Through the 7th dimension, Walker could feel the truth of those words. All around the chamber, minds touched and connected, sharing thoughts and emotions across the barriers of species and space. The laughter that had once mocked humanity was replaced by the joy of shared discovery. "Send the final report to Earth Command," Walker told Richards, who stood at a nearby console. "Tell them Phase 1 of galactic integration is complete. The D7 drive didn't just change how we travel through space, it changed how we exist within it." As the first lesson began, Walker looked out at the assembled species, former enemies and skeptics transformed into eager students of humanity's dimensional science. They had come seeking technological advancement, but found something far more precious: a way to bridge the gaps between all conscious beings in the galaxy. The new era had begun, and it started with a ship that taught the galaxy how to laugh together, not at each other.